Let's Get Down to Business is presented by Bravo, the marketing arm of Ash Brokerage Corporation, the practice enhancement company.
All this week, it's our series on life insurance audits. And on today's show, product and medical analysis. And with me today is CPA Richard Newman. Hi everyone, I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and contributing author to Backroom Technician. Let's get down to business. Well, welcome to the show, Richard. Day 3.
Thank you.
I want to talk about products for a moment because there are, when we talk about life insurance, it could be single case life insurance. It could be second to die or survivorship life insurance. We could be talking about participating whole life, current assumption UL, indexed UL, variable UL. This is all over the board. And when we talk about products, you as a CPA, I could see, I've kind of been doing this for a long time, but the CPA, for CPA to come into our business like this and do this kind of due diligence and this due care, you are really walking through product analysis on a very high level, current company practice, as well as contractual guarantee. Tell me, how does this hit? Because you write about this and I've seen some of your audits. It's extensive.
That's the whole reason for being, because there's so many different types of products. Each product is used in a different perspective. We talked a little bit about medical, how a company underwrites you. The single largest factor in the cost of life insurance is how you were approved. Will you standard, preferred, preferred plus? And the ability to get people elevated in that area is the area that's will really create the maximum savings for somebody, especially if they may be marginally healthy, for argument's sake. But the whole reason for my company being is the fact that there are so many different companies issuing so many different products. Each product has its own nuance, and none of them are really properly being managed and maintained. That last aspect of that, you take a complex arena that nobody really wants to learn anything about, because it is complex, but when you really get down to it, on its very bottom, it's not that difficult to really understand what the moving parts are. Just nobody wants to take the time because it's life insurance. So our whole reason for being is to place our advisors in a better position in one specific area, that being life insurance, and how it relates to the affluent.
Well, Richard, let's talk about that, because I think people don't understand the nuances of medical underwriting for sure, and how this really affects. Before we even go out to product areas, before we look at any of the provisions, we're looking at medical issues. And I've noticed throughout my career, there are certain carriers that shouldn't see the light of day on a certain disease. They just don't look at it in a benevolent way.
But everybody's different. I always use the analogy to my clients about applying for a loan. If you're a business and you're looking to borrow money for your business, at the time it was a lot easier, for argument's sake. And you can make a presentation to a bank, and out of 6 banks, three may say, I don't like it at all. 2 may say, I like it exactly how you provided it. And 1 may say, I like it a little differently, but I'll still take the deal. It's humans making value judgments about information that's not specific. Think about it, is we're in a financial area, we're making projections. How accurate are those projections? Isn't a medical underwriter taking a look at your medical records, taking a look at your blood results, taking a look at what took place on your EKG, and saying, based upon that, I'm going to project out how long I expect you to live. 8 different people could review that, would come up with 8 different types of analysis. On top of it, you have to overlay what the carrier is looking for. Some carriers have had good experience with certain types of illnesses and will look a little bit less specifically at those illnesses. On the other hand, other carriers have not. Other carriers maybe have written lots of life insurance in a specific age group, and that age group, they're really not looking to put any more risk on the books in a specific product. So our job as advisors is to ensure that when we go out into the marketplace, we're going to the carrier that is the ratings that we want and issues the products that we want. And at that point in time, underwriting and making sure that we are able to provide to those underwriters the information and manner in which they can make the best possible decision is our job, without missing anything. Because we never want to be in a position of not providing some information to somebody where they made that decision based upon that. And then ultimately it comes down to working with a few carriers. Now listen, if somebody is perfectly healthy, they've never been to a doctor, their blood results come back, we're going to look who's preferred plus, and we're going to find the cheapest product in that circumstance issued by the best carrier based upon that circumstance. But not everybody has those perfect health categories. And as we age, those categories and what can take place in our lives can change, and they can change rapidly. I have seen it where one company issues a preferred risk. They think that this person's healthier than their actual age, and I've seen another company actually reject that claim, that application. How is it possible? Because of all the things we chatted about in the middle. But the one thing we want to make sure that we always do when underwriting somebody, you can never make a first impression a second time. And let's make sure that whatever is in that file is accurate and really reflects what the true health is of that individual in the best possible light. So at a bare minimum, little tiny things like remembering to tell your client to have their exam first thing in the morning, and by the way, after 12 o'clock, don't eat or drink anything, so make sure your results are good. I mean, the last thing you want is a person to go out and have a steak the night before and have something to eat or drink a few hours before the exam, and now the results come back in as if they've got higher cholesterol. Mm-hmm. And we go back out and have another test done where they haven't done that. Now I'm kind of behind the 8 ball with that underwriter. They say, well, maybe they didn't do this. They took some medication to maybe mask some of it.
Yeah, I think that's important when you think about medical underwriting, matching the right client profile with the right carrier who may, like you say, look at certain impairments differently than others is a huge upfront issue. We're looking at policy performance and especially how we're going to close and place the case. When we come back from the break, we're going to continue addressing product and medical analysis as part of your overall business strategy that can position your practice as the premier provider of product information, not only to the fiduciary market, but also as a prospecting tactic for new clients in your community. And you can request a life insurance audit on your own clients at downtobusiness.ashbrokerage.com. Just fill out the request form. And don't forget, while you're out there, sign up for our 30-day free trial offer for Backroom Technician. Just go out to brtnow.com/trialsignup.aspx. We'll be right back right after the break. Back in the day, life insurance professionals were called field underwriters. Then, carriers trained their field force in the basics of life insurance underwriting. Today, the insurance industry doesn't educate the agent population as they once did. But now you can have the Informed Risk Guide at your fingertips so you can illustrate a reasonable rate class for your life insurance prospects. Just request your copy of the Informed Risk Guide at downtobusiness.ashbrokerage.com. It's free from Ash Brokerage, the practice enhancement company. Well, welcome back. I'm Steve Savant with Richard Newman. And remember, you can watch all our episodes of Let's Get Down to Business, including my weekly consumer show, Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game, right on at Ash Brokerage. Just click on the show logo and it'll take you right out to the homepage. And just a heads up, before moving forward with any of the ideas on our show, always consult your tax advisor or legal counsel, as well as your broker-dealer compliance officer. Well, let's get down to business. We're addressing product and medical analysis. We talked about medical in the first half. Richard, product, I have with me a huge spreadsheet where I have carrier, their products side by side. We talked about basic medical. Here's one thing that I've always found to be fascinating. I can actually look at this spreadsheet and I can say, who will take on backdating? Are they age nearest? Are they age last? And you've seen things like this make a real difference in an actual case to close it.
No, it's huge. It's huge. But again, when you're backdating a case, what does that mean? Mm-hmm. That means we're saving age. We're going to write this person as if they're maybe 56, not 57, even though they're technically 57 for insurance. And we can backdate. Each company does it a little differently, how they calculate it, how long, if there's any money coming over on a 1035 exchange, things of that nature. But the one thing I found in our industry is making sure that you very clearly discuss with your client backdating. Because if they met with you and gave you the check in January and that bill came out to them in September, nobody remembers that. Mm-hmm. So we always go through and outline with our clients what the cost would be, explain to them that they're paying for this period of time, but on the other hand, long term it reduces their premium 10, 15, 20% depending upon the carrier. So, but again, it's bringing your client back to that, and we have a client sign something that says that had you not done this, the price would be significantly more. And that price would go on forever.
Well, if you want, we keep track of this, our sponsor Ash Brokerage does this. If you go out to downtobusiness.ashbrokerage.com and say, Steve, send me who backdates and who doesn't, I'll send you that spreadsheet and you'll be able to know that for sure. I'm looking at, we talked about this on another show, on our consumer show. I want to ask you about this, Richard. I'm looking at term insurance spreadsheets all the time, and we're looking at some sizable term on business succession planning. I mean, the last one I looked at was like $25 million death benefit for 3 guys. Now, when I'm looking at that, I was looking at the convertibility clause. Everybody in the term spreadsheet from a premium point of view seemed to be relatively close.
Okay.
Here's what my problem came to is somebody said, well, we'll only convert halfway through the duration. The other one says, no, we convert at the end. Now, all of a sudden, the premium was pretty equal, but the conversion language and what you could convert to wasn't. Talk a little bit about that, because that's a major issue on big term and big business scenarios.
When you're looking to plan long term, and that convertibility really comes in, especially if there's a change in health, and understanding that when you go into the case. Some carriers say it's going to be age 70, some say 75, some say the length of the premium, some say somewhere in between. Knowing that going in is really important. Because if you could have selected the other carrier that had virtually the same premium, but gave them 10 more years for the ability to convert, how valuable was that? It may not be valuable at all, but it's very valuable if it needs to be valuable. And you better have your file documented as to what you did and why you made that choice of that product for that client in that circumstance. So but really what you're talking about, as well as internally having the system set up in your office to understand what are those conversion dates, and having that as a tickler file somewhere between 6 months and a year before that takes place, giving you the time to go look at the marketplace to determine what needs to take place. And that gets back into the policy reviews and everything like that. All we're really talking about is getting back in front of your client and making sure you're managing and maintaining the promises that you made to that client the day you collected that check. And getting back in front of them, making sure they understand what they own.
Now, I noticed that in permanent contracts now, they're really giving you a potpourri on death benefit or endowment or maturity dates. So we could be as soon as age 85, it could be out to age 120. We've talked about this on our other show, and I want to talk about this again because it's an issue, because when we're underwriting and doing product, we're trying to match up life expectancy with the maturity date to kind of get some reasonable expectation on a timeline. Talk a little bit about this, because you've really made a big point of this in some of your audits.
What we really talk about is matching the life of the contract with somebody's life expectancy. I don't want to play God in a situation like this, and men plan and God laughs. On the other hand, when we're going through the investigatory part of the life insurance application process, what happens? We get record of all their medicals. And when you are able to take that, in reality, you convert that, whatever the rating of the client is, gives you a pretty good indication what that client's life expectancy is. And if you've got somebody who is 70 years old and a standard risk, but no way, nobody's ever lived past 85 in their family, and they already have the beginnings of some issues, why would you pay for a 121 lifetime guarantee when this person's life expectancy may be 80 or 85 or 90? Again, making sure you project the length of the contract based upon their life expectancy plus. But the other thing you need to take a look at when you're doing that is you also, we even had some discussion about other types of insurance in the past and how much of the risk that you insure. In this circumstance, taking a look around at your client's other assets. If I've got a client that couldn't withstand an increase in premium, but could withstand that age 121 premium, and they want no surprises somewhere down the road, I may just pay that and then back off of it as the client's health declines.
There's a lot of things to look at product areas as well as medical to come into a full analysis of who we're going to choose once we get past ratings, carrier balance sheets, and qualifying a carrier to match up to our clients' finances and their medical profile. Well, that's our show today. Don't forget, you can read all my online insurance news commentary, advisor blogs, and articles on Producer's Web, as well as my answers to consumer questions on the Insurance Library. And remember, you can view any of our past episodes on our on-demand section located at downtobusiness.ashbrokerage.com. So follow me on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, or just email me, steve.savant@ashbrokerage.com. And remember, you could be wiser as an Ash Brokerage advisor. I'm Steve Savant. We'll see you tomorrow.